चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय राधिकायै प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता नारायण गोस्वामी नामिने श्रीकृष्ण लीला कथने सुदक्षम् औदार्य माधुर्य गुणैषयुक्तं वरं वरेण्यं पुरुषं महान्तं श्रीनारायणं त्वं शिरसा नमामि। त्रिदण्डिनां भक्तशिरोमणिं च श्रीकृष्णपादाब्जधृतये हृदि चैतन्यलीलामृतसारं नारायणं त्वं सततं प्रपद्ये। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्याय नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्ते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे
कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे।
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
So first of all, I offer my unlimited obeisances unto the divine lotus feet of my most worshipable spiritual master, His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. My unlimited obeisances unto the divine lotus feet of our Rupanuga Guru Varga, and then to all the assembled devotees. All the young people, maybe you can come in the front and get off your phones for 40 minutes, just 40 minutes. Okay? So, we are very fortunate by the mercy of Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga that we are studying Srimad Bhagavatam. So, not that I want to point to any one of our youth, but they are our future. So, I want to be engaged. So, one of you please tell me what is Srimad Bhagavatam? What scripture is called Srimad Bhagavatam? I'm not putting anyone on the spot, but this is just so that we can all, because we've been studying Bhagavatam for a long time. What is, if someone asks you, what is Srimad Bhagavatam, what will you say? Anyone? Okay, so let's go to the rest of the audience. If someone asks you, what is Srimad Bhagavatam, what will we say? Mm-hmm. So what is it? It is just a novel.
Leela of God.
Leela of
Different
God.
Leela of God.
It's a spiritual scripture.
It's a scripture written by Vedas. Yes, and it is one of the Purans, and the last book written by Srila Vedas. And everyone understands how it is different from Gita. Okay, what is the difference between Gita and Bhagavatam? Yes, say it, don't feel shy. You know it, I know you know the answer. Yes. What is the difference between Gita and Bhagavatam?
Gita was Krishna's
Renu Didi, please come inside.
It was just
Whereas Bhagavatam is the detailed description of the Lord's pastimes as well as the pastimes of His devotees. Now, it is not just the pastimes, but it tells us a lot of important things about our life. So, there are 88,000 great sages who are assembled in a holy place called Naimisharanya. Today also you can go to India close to Haridwar, there is this place Naimisharanya. So 88,000 sages have assembled, and on the Vyasasana, just like we are here, but on the Vyasasana, a very great saint, his name was Suta Goswami. He was sitting and they asked him some very important questions. 6 questions they asked. Last time, I think Subha Prabhu and Vimla had also explained. So what were these 6 questions? So Keshav, can you come and read what are these 6 questions?
What is the ultimate good for humanity? What is the essence of all scriptures? Why did Sri Krishna, the Supreme Lord, appear and perform his pastimes? What did Sri Krishna do after leaving this world? Where did religious principles take shelter after Krishna's disappearance? And please narrate the pastimes of the Lord and his devotees.
So like these 6 questions, the sages asked. The very first question they asked, and the whole Bhagavatam is giving the answer to these 6 questions, right? So all our scriptures are questions and answers. Just like Bhagavad Gita, here also many questions and many answers being given by different great personalities. But these are the 6 main questions that are being answered. So the very first question they asked, what is the ultimate good for humanity? So if someone asks you, what is the ultimate good? Keshav, what will you answer? What is the ultimate good for humanity?
Peace.
Peace. So that's a good thing. Peace is good for humanity because without peace there is no happiness. What else is but how do we get peace? We get peace through devotion. So very good answer. We get devotion to whom? Then the question is devotion to whom? Devotion to Krishna. So he's a devotee, so he knows the answers. So through devotion to Sri Krishna, we get the ultimate peace. So this is the first question they asked, and last time, Vimla Didi had nicely explained what the response was given by Sri Suta Goswami. But this verse that Suta Goswami spoke is so important and has so much beautiful meaning that we will discuss it briefly once again, because again the whole Bhagavatam is actually a description of this verse. And how does this verse go? Sahavai punsaha paro dharma yato bhakti adhokshaje ahetuki apratihata yayatma samprasidati. So this is the verse from the 2nd chapter of the 1st canto. When we write 1.2.6, 1 means canto. There are 12 cantos in Srimad Bhagavatam. Number 2 is the chapter. Each canto has many chapters. And 6 is the verse number. So this verse says, Sahavai punsaha paro dharma yato bhakti adhokshaje ahetuki apratihata yayatma samprasidati. So let's see what is the translation. So Krishna Kanta Prabhu, if you want to say it.
So the supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which man can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self.
So, I'll go back to the verse and explain some words from here, since most of you all understand, the Hindi and the Sanskrit words. So, how in these few words, he has summarized the essence of what is good for humanity and how we can actually attain real peace and happiness, which is our ultimate goal. All of us are searching for happiness. All of us are searching for peace, tranquility, especially in today's world, where everywhere around there's so many different ways that our peace is being disturbed. So he says, Sahavai punsaha paro dharma. Paro dharma. Dharma means religion. And he says Paro Dharma. Paro means the supreme religion. So when we say supreme religion, that means there are religions that are not supreme. So instead of simply saying Dharma, he is qualifying it, saying Paro Dharma. That means there are religions that are not supreme. So then the question comes, what are those religions that are not supreme? There's so many religions in the world. If you Google it, you know how many religions are there? One of you? Maybe you can quickly Google it and tell me, and then in the meantime I will explain the next thing. So one of you Google, and you have permission to go to your phone for a few seconds and tell me how many religions are there in the world. So he says, Paro Dharma. Many religions are there. Now there are religions which have names, but then there are also religions like Pitri Dharma, which are our responsibility towards our father, Matri Dharma, towards the mother, Desh Dharma, towards our country. So many different types of religions are there. So how many religions are there? Over 10,000 religions. Over 10,000 religions are known, documented religions in the world. Religions of faith. Of course, we just know the name of a few, but there are many faiths and religions. But here, he is using not a plural. He's saying he's using a singular word, Paro Dharma. If it was Dharmaha, that means there are many religions. He's saying no, there is only one religion, Paro Dharma, and that is the supreme religion. So then the question comes, what is that supreme religion? So to understand that, first we should know what Dharma means. So if someone says this is the best car or the best foods, first we have to see what food there is, what are the qualities of the food. So what is Dharma? So many of you have been coming here for a long time. So what is your understanding of what is Dharma?
So Dharma is, what I understood is basically what's our duty. One is what's our duty towards the people and to our Sanatan Dharma.
So Dharma is what is our duty towards other people and towards Sanatan Dharma. So that's one definition, good definition. What else is Dharma? What else understanding someone has? Renu Didi, what is Dharma?
One pointedly devotional service with love and affection for the Lord.
That is Dharma, but that is a type of Dharma. But what does word Dharma itself mean? So one he said Dharma means duty. So one is Dharma means duty. Yes.
According to Jack Dharma, that Bhaktivinoda Thakurji explained, is the original nature of all the living beings.
Yes.
And
That is the right answer. So he says Dharma means what is our inherent nature, our intrinsic quality. Understanding? What is Dharma? Our intrinsic nature. So what is the intrinsic nature of, let's say, water? What is the intrinsic nature of water? Tasteless? Yes. Okay, what else is the intrinsic nature of the water? It is liquid. So when we study in chemistry, so it is liquid. It is tasteless, you can say, but it is liquid. The same water, when we put it in the freezer, it becomes solid. Now, ice is not water. It is made from ice, made from water. But because of lowering the temperature, now it has become solid ice. So the nature, the intrinsic nature of the water has been transformed. Now it is no more liquid. It is still tasteless. Right? It is still tasteless, it is still odorless, but its real nature, which was being liquid, that has been transformed. Now, that transformation, will it exist forever? It will not exist forever. It is there only temporarily because you put it in the refrigerator. When it is in its normal condition, what is the normal situation? It is at room temperature. When it is at room temperature, then that ice is going to melt and become water again. So, because of some reason, the intrinsic nature of a particular object may get transformed. That transformed nature is also, in one sense, its nature, but it's not the real nature. Understanding? So there is a real nature and one is a transformed nature. Similarly, the water can be boiled, it will become water vapors. When you condense it, it again becomes water. When water is mixed with dust, with so many things, India has so much problem with polluted water. Recently, some people there died because of so much polluted water. But that water is not the real water. It is not in its intrinsic nature. The intrinsic nature of the water, it is pure. When the water falls from the sky, when it is coming in the rivers from the mountain, it's absolutely pure. It's called spring water, right? We all go and buy spring water because it is absolutely pure. So in its pure nature, it is consumable, it is liquid. But with all this adulteration or transformation, its real nature, it's lost. So he says that dharma means the intrinsic nature of the object. So then what is parodharma? Parodharma is when it is in its real form, when it is in natural form, that inherent quality is called parodharma. So just dharma means its nature, but that nature could be transformed nature, it has changed its nature. But parodharma means when in it is its real nature. Everyone understanding? This definition of dharma is so amazing. We don't hear this definition of dharma anywhere else because mostly dharma means, oh, I am born in a certain community, right? So because of that I have a dharma, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim. Like he counted 10,000 different religions are there. All of them, or most of them, we would say, are based on certain designation. Because you are born in some place, some country, or that's why it became your religion. But is that religion your inherent religion? In this, those of us and everyone nowadays, most people believe in reincarnation. Right? This is not the only life. So in previous life, were you born in the same religion? Not necessarily. Will you be born in the same religion in the next life? Not necessarily. So is your religion going to be changed? The religion may change, right? Dharma may change. But will the paradharma change? That will not change. Right? So because you were born in a different family, you may say that my religion is not different, but something that is changing, that cannot be your intrinsic quality. Because intrinsic means, inherent means, it is part of your constitution. Samajh rahe hain? Everyone, it is part of, it cannot be separated from you. Because once it's separated from you, then you are not that anymore. Just like from water, if you take out its liquidity, it is not water anymore. So the fact it is the way the water is constituted, when it was made, whenever the water was made, that was made part of its quality of being liquid. So similarly, we, the soul, when we were constituted, when we were made, then that quality was added to us, what is called the parodharma. And that parodharma is our eternal religion. Why? Because the soul is eternal. The body dies, right? The body will change, we will go to a different body. So the body will change, our ideas will change, so many things will change, our clothes change, so many things change. But the only thing that doesn't change is our soul. So the intrinsic quality of the soul, he says, is parodharma. And he says, Sahib saha vai punsaha. This applies to everyone. It is not only for certain people. So his question that he had asked in the beginning was, what is the good for all humanity? Not just certain human beings, but for everyone. And here he is specifically saying punsaha, even though it is for all living entities, meaning with the plants, birds, animals, everyone. But they are in a stage where they cannot understand, their consciousness is not developed. They are also jivas. And a dog, a cat, they also have a soul. But in that body, in that physical body, their consciousness is not developed that they can practice this dharma. So even though their dharma is also the same, but only in the human body we can actually understand and practice the paro dharma. That's why the human life is so important. We all keep saying it, right? But then we forget. So the human life, why it is so important? Because this is the only life where you can understand and practice paro dharma. In no other form of life we can understand. So it says Savahi Punsa Paro Dharma. And then the question comes, what is that Paro Dharma? Now what Revati answered. The answer was
one-pointed loving devotion of Lord Krishna in his service, which is uninterrupted and it is a constant in one's life.
So, very nice answer. So, she's saying that the Paro Dharma is loving devotion to Sri Krishna. Yato Bhakti Adhokshate. He says that Paro Dharma is Bhakti. Bhakti means loving, love. So, Bhakti to whom? Adhokshata. Adhokshata, the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. So, he's saying why? Why not to anyone else? Right? So, the question comes, why not to anyone else? This is Srimad Bhagavatam saying, Suta Goswami is saying, why not to anyone else? Because he says, any such devotion to anyone else can be considered dharma. That's not a problem. But it cannot be called paro dharma. Why? Because paro dharma can only be given, that name can be given to that relationship which is eternal, which never changes, and it was made at the time you were created. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mam evanchaha jiva loke jiva bhutaha sanatana, that all living entities are my eternal part and parcel. So since we are originally his part and parcel, right now we have forgotten, we have gone through many transformations, and that's the reason we think many different religions to be our real religion. But when all those misconceptions are gone, when all our ignorance goes away, when all the adulteration goes away, then what will be left will be our real nature, which is loving devotion to Sri Krishna, because we are his part and parcel. Every other relationship will get lost over a period of time. So it says, Yato Bhakti Adhokshate. Now Bhakti means what? Bhakti does not mean, now then the question comes, how do we perform Bhakti? Bhakti doesn't mean that we are always sitting and chanting, and are we always here? Krishna is standing here, he doesn't speak to us. How do I do Bhakti all day long? Because the next, right now Didi said, it should be continuous. So how will you perform continuous Bhakti? That's a big question. Right? How do I do continuous Bhakti? And that also to someone I don't see, he doesn't speak to me, right? So how do I do Bhakti to Krishna continuously? It's a good question, right? So how do we do Bhakti to Krishna continuously?
So whatever we do every day or every time, we should do like we think that it is for Krishna. So that is one of the way of Bhakti.
So that's a good point, that whatever we do it as a service. What else?
Developing a relationship.
Developing our relationship. And yes.
Serving the Guru Parampara and the Vaishnavas.
That's also a very good point. Yes.
I think I learned from Buddhaji, I really like this concept, which says actually in the beginning to understand our position. अपने स्वरूप को जानना. मोस्टली हम लोगों की प्रॉब्लम होती है जब हम अपने को फिजिकल और टेम्परेरी में समझते हैं. तो स्वरूप का ज्ञान होना, and then उसके according we do our actions, knowing that we are soul, we are eternal part and parcel of the Lord, and we continuously, wholeheartedly doing it.
So that's okay, that's the knowledge. But when we say that perform Bhakti continuously, the example last time also, as Vimla Devi was saying, Prabhuji also said, Taya Dharavat. right? When you have, let's say, a string of oil, you start pouring, or honey, it flows continuously without any interruption. So how do we do bhakti? If bhakti means coming to the temple, if bhakti means sitting and chanting, how do we do bhakti? Because we can't do this all day long, right? Or none of us does it all day long. Yes, Didi.
हमारी जितनी भी activities हैं, it should be related to it. Whatever we are doing, we should be focusing.
Whatever we are doing, we do it to focus to Krishna.
Except
So,
for Guru and we follow his introduction to sadhana.
So basically, what is bhakti? Bhakti, I will just say it in one Hindi word, chit ki vritti hai. So chit, our purified mind, its continuous flow of its tendencies towards Shri Krishna is real bhakti. When the mind is completely absorbed in the Lord 24/7, because mind can be absorbed 24/7, the physical body cannot be engaged 24/7. Right? We cannot physically engage. You are sleeping, then you are not doing any kriya, but even that time the mind can be engaged. When Arjun would be sleeping, from every pore of his body, Krishna, 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 the name was coming out. So, Chit Vritti, when our mind completely flows towards the Lord, it does not go towards anything else. Right now, our mind goes to many things except for Shri Krishna. Sometimes we think of Him, but mostly we don't think. Right now we are sitting, we may get some remembrance. When we are chanting, we may get some remembrance for a few minutes, but then it gets lost. But when, irrespective of what we are doing, the mind constantly flows towards Him, that is a pratihata, without any disturbance. And in that stage, but he says, how will that come? How will that come? A hetuki. When the bhakti is without any cause, when it is not being performed, it is not being executed for some material benefit or for the purpose of attaining some knowledge which is not connected to bhakti. Why? Because if it is done for some cause, right? If it is done for some cause, when that thing is achieved, then you will not perform bhakti anymore, right? So why he is saying a hetuki? Because if there is hetu, when there is a cause, when that cause is gone, then it cannot continue. So for example, if we consider that bhakti means coming to the temple and praying, many people will think that is what bhakti means. So you can come to the temple because you are going through some very difficult life situation, and then you start coming regularly to the temple. Now what happens? That problem is resolved. Now you will start thinking, problem is gone. Maybe I'll go not this Sunday, but I'll go next Sunday. And then next Sunday, oh, right now it's fine, I'll go next Sunday. But when the problem was there, then no matter what, you were going because the issue was, the cause was to resolve the problem. So he says, if it is done with the cause, then it cannot become continuous. Right? So just like one example is a mother, when the child is born, the mother is day and night thinking of the child. Right? The child is so little and he is so dependent on the mother. So even though the mother is doing something else, when she is herself even sleeping, where is her mind? What if he wakes up? And the moment child does a little cry, she even from a deep sleep, she will immediately wake up and go to the child. And she is always thinking, is he hungry? Do I have to feed him? Do I have to change his diaper? All the time thinking, right? Why? Because there is love, there is no cause. The mother's love for the child is not for any cause. It is a hetuki. Just it is motherly love. It's very pure love. So when that love is without cause, then he says it can be apratihata, it can be continuous. And one other point, like Prabhuji mentioned and some of you also mentioned, how does that happen? How does our mind will come to that stage where it will continuously flow towards the Lord? Because we are not in that stage right now. How will that happen? So he says that only happens first by serving Guru and Vaishnavas. Because Guru is the representative of Shri Krishna in this world. He is the one, if he is, not of course every Guru, but one who is an Uttam Mahabhagavat, right? Someone who has actually come from the spiritual world, he is the one who can actually connect us to Krishna. And by serving him and by serving the devotees who are free from all malice, devotees who are really following the devotional practices. So Hari, Guru, Vaishnava. So first serving the Vaishnavas, then comes to Guru, because to take to Guru also first we need association of some devotees. So serving the Vaishnavas, then to Guru, and then the same devotion gets transformed towards Shri Krishna. So this is the process. So like Bhakt Prahlad, so when Prahlad spoke to his friends, they were all sons of demons, and Prahlad was the son of Hiranyakashipu, who was such a ferocious demon that even Indra would go in hiding when he would hear that Hiranyakashipu is coming. He had actually imprisoned all of them. He was such a powerful ruler. But Prahlad, who was just 5 years old, was completely fearless. So when he spoke to his friends about what is bhakti, so they asked him that, Prahlad, you are also just like us. You were born like when we were all born, but how come you became like this? And how come your mind is always thinking of Krishna? So then Prahlad said that this is all by the mercy of my spiritual master. Who was that personality? Naradji. And I heard from him for how long? 60,000 years. Harikatha. He was continuously hearing from him. So hearing Katha, Shrikvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravan Kirtanaha Hridayastahi Abhadrani Vidhanodihi Suhrit Satam. This is another verse that will come in this chapter only. We are only going to take some important verses from each of the chapters. So he says, Shrikvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravan Kirtana, by constantly hearing the pastimes, by the Katha of Shri Krishna, then everything that is unwanted, abhadrani, in the heart will slowly go away. That is the power of Hari Katha. That's why our Gurudev was so strict. He would say that when Hari Katha is taking place, stop doing anything else. Do not do anything else when Hari Katha is taking place. Because it is only by hearing Hari Katha that we will actually develop the understanding, and all those unwanted things in the heart will go away. Hari Katha is not different from Krishna himself. His holy name is not different from himself. Therefore, unless we make the endeavor to listen to Hari Katha, unless we make that endeavor to, now he says constantly, Shrikvatam Swakatha Krishna, constantly hearing, but at least whenever possible, we should hear Hari Katha, because through this we will develop the understanding. So Prahlad says he heard for 60,000 years, and he says, what did that do? He was not a devotee before that. He was just an ordinary person who was very much absorbed in sense gratification. But the long story, but ultimately when he took birth as Prahlad and he heard from Naradji, while he was still in the womb of his mother Kayalu, he heard. So he says, because of that my mind has become so purified that just like you all who are sons of demons, your mind goes only towards bad things. My mind naturally flows towards the lotus feet of Shri Krishna. And this is actually the power of bhakti. You will all experience that the same mind that right now always goes towards stress, depression, negative thoughts, all desires for sense gratification. But by practicing bhakti, slowly, the same mind will constantly, without even making any endeavor. That is the power of bhakti. In Dhyan Yoga, in Sankhya Yoga, in Gyan Yoga, every place we have to make an endeavor to control our senses. But in bhakti, it purifies the mind to completely purifies that it will automatically flow towards Krishna. So, but that training of the mind starts by serving the Vaishnavas, by serving Shri Guru. So, and then if one gets to that level, then he says, Yayatma suprasidati. that then the Atma, he is not saying that mind will become happy or the body will become happy. He says Atma suprasidati. Because bliss or happiness is again a quality of the soul. It's not a quality of the body. We're trying to make the physical body happy, but body is dead matter. Body never becomes happy. Actually, we are trying to satisfy the desires within our mind. Whenever you want to eat something delicious, is it the desire of the tongue? No. The stomach is also telling you that eating so much food and such heavy food and rich food is not good for me, but you still ignore it, right? Because the mind is saying, mind is craving for that taste. So it is the mind that you are trying to satisfy, not the physical body. But he says not the mind, because mind is also temporary. He says it is the Atma, the soul. Then it will start experiencing that bliss, yai Atma suprasidati. Not just any ordinary happiness, but such immense bliss that you can't even experience one drop of real bhakti, one drop of the sweetness of the holy name gives such immense pleasure that cannot be attained by anything in this world. Every kind of happiness put together that one can think of, every type of sense enjoyment that one can conceive, if you put that on one side of a balance, that taraju, right? On one side, and on the other side, you put one drop of sweetness of Krishna's holy name or Hari Katha, that there is no comparison. So, Yayatma Suprasidati. So, he's saying because Krishna is there in everyone, right? He's there in everyone. So, when we serve the Vaishnavas and when we serve Sri Guru, and then we start having that understanding of that Krishna resides in each and every one, then we have no malice, we have no hatred, we have no material attachment towards everyone, towards anyone. We see everyone as part and parcel of Sri Krishna, and every type of dharma is then satisfied in this. So paro dharma does not necessarily mean that you give up everything that you are doing. What it means is that you change your consciousness, the way we think. And of course this will not happen overnight, this will happen slowly and gradually. But coming to that understanding of paro dharma will make your life very, very blissful. And he says that so in the next, there is a verse from Narad Pancharatra where this also describes what is bhakti. Sarvopadhi vinirmuktam tat paratve nirmalam rishikesha rishikena sevanam bhakti ruttama. So he says that bhakti that has to be performed towards Krishna. So bhakti again is loving propensity. Last time as Vimla Didi was explaining from this verse, Anukulen Krishna Anushilanam Bhaktir Uttama. Rendering devotion with a loving mood. There the word is used anukulyan. It does not say anukulyan. So there is word anukul, but here he says anukulyan. So in Sanskrit when these verses are written, when your mind starts getting absorbed in understanding this, it is so amazing that why they have chosen words. So if you know, anyone knows Sandhi? Sandhi which is Hindi mein padha hai? A plus A is equal to A plus A is equal to A, and A plus A is equal to A. So here he says not anukulyan, he says anukulyan means A plus anukul. So A means anugatya. So when we perform more loving devotional service to Shri Krishna in the anugatya, under the guidance of a pure devotee, not with our independent mind. See, this is another very important part of bhakti, that many times we say, oh, this is what I think is bhakti. This is what I will do. Or this is what I read, and this is what I think it is. No. He says, anukulyan. That anukul bhav, that mood of favorable, if you are going to decide that with your own mind, it is not going to happen. There are some very beautiful lectures that Gurudev has been giving on Prem Vibharth. It is a beautiful book written by Jagadanand Pandit, who was an eternal associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Gurudev says anyone who reads this book Prem Vibharth is bound to become a pure devotee. He is bound to get bhakti. And in there, Jagadanand Pandit is saying that one thing that we have to give up is the independent mind. Because this is the nature of the mind, that it thinks that what I am thinking is right. Everyone else is wrong. What I am thinking is correct. To subdue that mind is the greatest challenge of our life. Greatest challenge. Believe it or not. The greatest challenge of our life is pranipatena. That's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, tat vidhi pranipaten pariprashnen sevya. So word prati means surrender. Pariprashnen, not just prashnen. He said pariprashnen means with a mood of surrender. So pranipaten means that unless the mind is told that you are not thinking correctly, you are thinking independently, and till the mind gives up its independence, till that time it is not possible. And because of that, here is a sarvopadhi. Sarvopadhi means giving up all kind of designations. See, this we are talking of dharma, which is the highest dharma. Most understanding of dharma or religion is at the level of upadhi. Upadhi means designation. Designation means I am born in a certain country, I am born in a certain community, I am born in a certain caste, I am part of a certain institution, right? I am born in a certain family. Because of these all upadhis, these are all designations. They have nothing to do with our soul. None of these designations, even as a man or a woman, child or an adult, black or white, has nothing to do with the soul. It all has to do with only external physical things. So he says, Sarvopadhi vinirmuktam. See what definition of bhakti is giving. This is what he's saying, that you can only perform bhakti when you actually become free from all designations. And how does it happen? Because designations again reside in the mind. Not in the physical body, because physical body doesn't think of anything. So where are designations there? It is all in the mind. Mind is thinking, oh, I am the king. Oh, I am following this very upper class society. Or I am a very high class Brahmin. I am not supposed to listen to anyone. Or I am very educated. So many designations. Or I belong to this institution. See, dharma also at some point becomes enslaved by a certain institution. So dharma is free from all of these things, because all of these things are only external designations. That is the reason this is called Sanatan Dharma, eternal religion, which does not get impacted by all these various transformations. So he says, Sarvopadhi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam. So then when one becomes free from all kind of designations, and then with our senses, when we serve the Supreme Lord, then he says that is real bhakti. And such a bhakti, Sri Rupa Goswami says, has many, many beautiful results. What is the results? Kleshagani. First of all, it will destroy all suffering. So what is the good for all humanity when all the suffering is gone? So he says, when bhakti is performed, then he says Kleshagani. The first thing he says, all the suffering will go away. Why? Because suffering is where? In the mind. Okay, suffering is again in the mind. When the mind is suprasidati, when the soul is receiving so much bliss internally, then there is no suffering. And then he says, Shubha Shubhada, it gives all kind of auspiciousness. And then Moksha Labhuta, it does not even care for liberation, because someone who has come to the path of bhakti is called Jivan Mukta. While in this physical body is already liberated. And then it says Sudurlabha, but this bhakti is not so easily attained. It is very rarely attained, therefore it is so special. And then it says Sandra Nanda, it is manifestation of concentrated bliss. Now it is like, if you have, now of course everyone is concerned about diabetes, but if you had concentrated, sweet, something sweet, we all like to eat sweet. When it is really concentrated, it becomes even more delicious. So it says, bhakti, the bliss that one gets, is concentrated bliss, and this attracts Krishna. Krishna akarshani jasa, this attracts Shri Krishna. So this is what the whole Srimad Bhagavatam is about. The whole Srimad Bhagavatam, it is being explained that how one can achieve this rare Sudurlabha bhakti, which also attracts Krishna, and as a result one can attain the highest bliss. ठीक है, गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. So does anyone have a quick question? Anyone has any question? Yes.
Prabhuji, you had mentioned that all day it's not possible to be, in the service of the Lord in the temple. So when we are working, the mind has to still be all the time attached to Lord Krishna.
The mind has to be attached to Shri Krishna.
The thing is that when you are in the work environment and you are dealing with computers or any issues, the mind has to be involved with the issue. It cannot separate itself and be thinking of, you think about Lord Krishna, you can't solve the problem. But yeah, that's for sure. But the thing is, it's very hard to understand for working people.
Yes. So a very, very excellent question that we all say to constantly think of Krishna, but when we are working, you're sitting in a meeting and some deep discussion is taking place, or you are on your computer and then there's some argument going on software design. Right? So how do you think of Krishna? This is the art of bhakti.
Occupation.
And that's the reason it is said about the Brajvasis, the Gopis, Nanda Baba, Yashoda, why they are so high. Because even though they were performing their daily chores, even whatever they were doing, day to day, their mind was still focused only on Krishna. So this is because right now we are completely under the control of mind. We are not able to separate ourselves from our mind. But slowly, as we advance in bhakti, and you start seeing yourself as different from the mind. See, right now we can't differentiate in our mind, but it is 100% possible that you are still doing your external things, you are still interacting with the people, whatever you have to do for your livelihood, but internally, your mind is absolutely calm. And Krishna in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he says this. He gives us example of many, many rivers that are coming into a pond, into a large ocean of water. He says when they come, the water does not lose its tranquility. Right? Why? Because it's so deep. It is so vast. So as we come deep in bhakti and our mind becomes very large, means very udar, then all these disturbances will not affect us. So again, as I said, this will not happen overnight, but the process works, and with every step that we take, we get closer to it, and you will experience. So one easy way to do it is that in your mind keep chanting. Right? So keep chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. If you can't chant the whole mantra, just chant Krishna, 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 Krishna. In your mind, or whatever name of the Lord you are chanting, of course you will forget. But then when you remember, again start chanting. When again you will forget, when again the mind comes, and you will actually see, nowadays they say this whole sound vibration is actually a great therapy for the mind also. But it actually works. Once you get into this habit of constantly chanting in the mind, sometimes you will get up in the morning and you will be chanting. You will not even realize but you will be chanting. And then mind will stay engaged like this.
Occupationally for those people, like when we talk about the gopis and brajvasis, life was, it was a simpler level.
So life was simple, so why we don't have to make our life so complicated, we can live simple life. See, we have only made our lives complicated, you are right. And life is only going to become more complicated. The world is not going to go the easier way, it's going to actually become more complicated. But this is where we have to learn the art.
And that's also what they teach you in meditation, that you have to...
But I can tell you, even though we can compare, even nowadays, you can go, sometimes you see people who are in the villages or living in smaller towns. It's not necessarily that they are devotees, because their mind is also busy in something else, they are also worried about something. So, see, right now external situations affect us because our mind is at a very superficial level. Right?
That's right.
So it will, but what we have to do, but with faith, we have to keep practicing. Because if we keep practicing, then certainly it will start showing its results. Okay? So we'll finish here. Thank you everyone. God Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.